Hello and welcome to the Ally Invest Service Show. My name is Brian Overby with Ally Invest, and I'll be your host for today's show. On our show today, our theme is going to be money movement. Today we have with us Dom Napolitano from our Ally Invest customer service desk. Dom will be highlighting how to transfer money to and from your Ally Invest account. But with that mentioned, our viewers are the ultimate drivers of content for this show. If you have any general questions about the platform, please start by putting them in the chat box right now on the right-hand side of the screen. I have to point out for privacy concerns that we can only answer general questions about the platform, and please do not put in any account information or contact information in the chat box for all to see. The goal of this show is to help you out as much as we can in this open platform without compromising the security and safety of your accounts. All right, Dom, with that said, we've had a couple of questions that came up last week. The first question is about pattern day traders. We did have a client that was labeled a pattern day trader. And there is good and bad that goes along with being a pattern day trader. Could you define what a pattern day trader is and tell us a little bit of information about why that label happened?
Yeah. So a pattern day trader is a label that occurs only on margin accounts. And this label will come to be if you place 4 day trades in a rolling 5 business day period. So that is going to be one round trip, and you're going to do that 4 times. So you'll get a warning on the website once you're going to place that 4th one. And basically what this is it'll give you additional leverage. So it's actually going to be 4 times your margin excess in the account to trade with. So that's one of the benefits of it. Now, it can be detrimental as a label if you cease day trading altogether. The reason for that is the leverage that you get will eventually dissipate or go away if you stop day trading altogether. Now that we do have some FAQs on this. So if you go to the Ally Invest Help Center, FAQs, and just type in pattern day trade, you're going to see this second link here. I'm sorry, the first link here. And this is going to go into a little bit more of what a pattern day trade is. So by this one here, pattern day trading is a coding that is added to any margin account once the account makes more than 3 day trades within a consecutive 5 business day period. Now, once you're labeled, you will actually need to keep $25,000 in the account. And this is going to be start of day. So if you start the day less than $25,000, you actually will not be able to day trade. And this is also one of the bad parts about it. But as long as you keep your start of day above $25,000 at or above, then you can day trade theoretically as much as you want, as long as you have that day trade buying power, which is that 4 times margin excess. So in the FAQs as well, you're also going to see this additional resource, which are indicated here in hyperlinks. So if you click on this day trading here, it's actually going to bring you to FINRA's website, which is our Financial Industry Regulatory Authority. And this is going to give you a lot more information. Also, their frequently asked questions where you can find about pattern day trading and whatnot. Also, what is a day trade? How does it affect short sales? So this goes into real in-depth information here. And they also have a number as well if you need to reach them, or you can also reach us 24/7.
Well, that creates a question. What is a pattern day trade, by the way, Dom? They're highlighting it in FINRA. How would you define a pattern, an actual day trade? What has to happen for it to be labeled that?
Yeah, so that would be if I were to buy a security, so whether that be a stock or an option, I buy it, let's say Monday, and then I sell it Monday before day's end. So that's a round trip occurring in that day. Now, it can get kind of confusing here, but you want to look at the sales. So let's say I buy 10 shares in the morning, and then I sell 5 in the afternoon, and I sell another 5 that afternoon. Even though that was a round trip, I bought and sold all the same shares in that same day. But because I made 2 sales, that's actually count as 2 day trades. So it's always going to go off of that sale.
All right. So if I'm buying and selling on the same day, why would that be a hindrance to the account? Why does FINRA say, and by the way, this is for all brokerage firms. This isn't just a rule within Ally Invest. It's across the industry overall. But why does FINRA, I guess, for lack of a better term, disapprove of pattern day trading?
Yeah, and it can get kind of risky there. So if we look at stocks or options, if you will, whenever you sell them or buy, it takes 2 business days for those to settle. Now, in a margin account, that doesn't matter too much, as we'll let you trade around that. But as you keep day trading, all of those trades have yet to settle. So if you keep doing more and more, all of those funds are theoretically unsettled, and you can get in kind of a risky scenario. So that's why FINRA, which is that financial regulatory authority, they require us to have, each of the accounts have 25,000 into it to mitigate some of that insecurity with all those unsettled transactions.
So it has a lot to do with the settlement of the securities and the fact right now it's T plus, is it 2 or 3 nowadays?
So with stocks, it's going to be T plus 2.
Mm-hmm.
With options, it's going to be T plus 1. With bonds, it's usually going to be T plus 1, depending. And then mutual funds are going to range between 1 and 3 business days after the trade date.
All right. So T stands for trade and plus 1 is number of business days.
Right.
All right. So if it happens on a Friday, plus 1 would be Monday.
Right. For options.
For options. And then, I'm a little bit more of an option trader than a stock trader overall. All right, Dom. Okay, so let's get to options. We had a great question last week that also popped up, and it has to deal with gains and losses. And we've talked a little bit recently on the show about gains and losses, but the person had sold a call and it was exercised. So my shares left. And that basically means my shares were sold. I bought those shares at different times. Some were over a year old and some were under. In the gain losses tab, it grouped the shares together and used the last purchase date and shows them as a short-term gain. So the question is, it's obviously dealing with taxes. When I get my 1099, will the long and short sales be separated or will they be grouped together? And I think that's a little bit to do with long-term and short-term sales.
Yes. So on your 1099, those actually will be separated. So on our website, under the realized gain loss, it's actually going to be showing the latest lot that you have. So if you see short-term there, that just means the last lot sold was short-term. Now your 1099 is going to split that up. It will show you the difference between the long lots and the short lots. And you can also see it on your screen as well. Not there, but if you were to go to Maxit Tax Manager, which we covered in our previous show, you can go there and look at the realized gain loss, and it will actually break it down to show you that long-term and short-term. So they are actually separated. It's just our website shows that short-term there.
All right. So no real concern because the 1099 will get it right. They have to get it right for tax reasons. It's basically against the law to not get that information to you correctly. So if you did need to adjust a 1099, so every once in a while they will send an adjustment or an updated statement for it overall. But and Dom cut out a little bit there, but he's talking about the Maxit Tax Manager, which you can find inside your account under the Accounts tab. And if you go to that tax manager, it will show you the gains and losses for active positions and for positions that have already been bought and sold. So in there, it will give you a highlight as to what the 1099 will say overall. All right. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box right now, and we'll try to answer them. We have about 20 minutes left in the show. So this is a great opportunity to be able to ask any questions about the website. If you'd like to know a little bit more about tax loss and how you can find that information, and then also about any of the trading pages within Ally Invest. Now, Dom, in a few seconds here, is going to be highlighting money transfers. It's fairly simple within your Ally Invest account. And we'll talk a little bit about the setup with money transfers. And then also we'll talk a little bit about just transferring positions in your account. So if you have any questions around that area, today, Dom is a great expert to be able to talk about that. But if not, just open it. And we're going to open it up for all general questions overall in your account. All right. So with that said, I think I'll pass it back to you, Dom, and let's start doing a little bit about the money transfers within your Ally Invest account.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So once you have your account pulled up, we actually do have a transfers tab. So you go ahead and click on that. That's going to show you our options for all different kinds of transfers, and then I will go into each one and the differences that they have. All right, just waiting it to pull up here.
All right. Looks like it's moving a little bit slow because of the Zoom meeting overall. But the tab on the top of the screen is transfers. And sometimes some people have the question just about where the transfers tab is because it's right front and center, and kind of miss the fact that it's not below in one of the drop downs. You can get there that way, but the easiest way to go is just click on it right next to the transfers tab. Are we moving? Okay. Well, I'm. A little bit of technical difficulties. Dom, you really haven't struggling getting it to move, huh?
Yeah, it looks like it might be my computer here this morning.
Okay, so are there any other questions out there? Let's try to do something right now. Dom is having a little bit of technical difficulties with his computer overall. Oh, we got there slowly. Maybe we can highlight this one page, Dom. So let's just run with that. If you're sharing your screen, let's just talk about the left hand rail and the definitions inside those transfers.
Yeah. So the first one here on the left, you're going to see bank transfers. Now, that one is also commonly referred to as ACH, or automated clearinghouse. And that's going to be, if you were to click on that and then deposit, that would be from a linked bank account. So whether that be a Bank of America account, PNC, et cetera, this will be your regular transfers. Now, with that being said, whether it be a deposit or a withdrawal from your Ally Invest account, it's actually going to be initiated here. So a deposit would be a deposit to, and a withdrawal would be a withdrawal from the investment account. Now, with deposits, once you make that deposit, it would reach your account within just a couple of hours. However, ACH funds are actually not cleared. They're almost like a personal check. So they take 3 business days to clear. So once those funds reach your Ally Invest account, you can use them immediately as long as your previously cleared account value is more than your recent deposit. So if you had like a $10,000 account, made a $1,000 deposit, you would be able to use that $1,000 deposit that day. If not, you would have to wait the whole 3 business day clearing period, as that is the general time in which a bank would recall those funds back.
Now that's on the initial deposit. So on the initial deposit, you're going to have to wait for an ACH to clear, or 3 business days. What's one way to get around that if you do not want to have to wait those 3 days and you're transferring in funds for the first time into Ally Invest?
Yeah, so the best way is actually with having a Ally bank account. So an Ally bank account would automatically be linked here, and those funds are in real time. So they're real-time transfers between the hours of 8 a.m. and 3:55 p.m. So you can submit those transfers online, and they will be available immediately in your account. Now, if you don't have an Ally bank account, The best way around that would be a wire transfer. So the wire transfer will be initiated from your banking side. And once you initiate that, it can take about 1 to 2 business days to arrive, but those funds are available immediately once they hit your account, regardless of the amount.
Yeah, and the 1 or 2 business days all depends on your cutoff wherever the wire is coming from. A lot of institutions will say you have to get your wire notification in, let's using Eastern time, maybe by 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. Eastern time. If you do get it in before that cutoff time, it usually will go that day. But if it's after, sometimes it can add an extra day to it. So that's just important to note. Cutoff times are big when it comes to wiring money.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the next one here is a check. Now, Ally Bank allows you to take a picture of your check and do like a mobile deposit. Now, we don't allow that here on the investment side. However, if you were to click on check, it will actually give you instructions on where to send that check.
Yeah, click deposit. See if we move a little bit here. There we go. Now, this is a test account, so there's going to be a few things that will be a little bit weird.
Yeah,
okay, right.
This
We
test
ran
account
into that, didn't we?
closed.
The account you selected is currently restricted. All right, that makes sense. Just because it's a test account. I'll back to you, Dom. Sorry that I interjected to send you down that wild path.
No problem whatsoever. So the check, that's going to be the slowest way to fund the account. And then when it does hit the account, it still actually will need that 3 business day clearing period if it's the initial deposit. If not, it will follow the same rules as if it was an ACH. The only problem with the check is we don't allow the mobile deposits on the invest side. So you actually have to mail it. So you are subject to the mailing timeframes. Now, a way to get around that is the bank account. So Ally Bank account will allow you to take a picture of that check and deposit it. It's usually about a business day. And like we said before, the Ally Bank accounts have the real-time transfer. So once the check is there, you should be able to real-time transfer into your invest account.
All right. So we do have a question. The question is about a wash sale. So I think we're doing a lot of terms today, Dom. I was looking at my realized gains and losses, and I noticed something called a wash sale. What does that mean? What's a wash sale, Dom?
Yeah, so a wash sale is an IRS, as you can say, coding per se. But what that is if you sell a security for a loss and buy that same security back within 30 days before or after that sale, then that loss amount is going to be carried forward. So by carried forward, what I mean by that is it's going to take that loss amount and then add it to your cost basis. So on your tax forms, instead of showing a loss and you being able to write that loss off, it's going to add it back like you paid more the next time you bought it. So the loss doesn't really go away. It's more of just deferring it until next time.
All right. And then that prompted another question. This one's from Edgar. It says, is the sale of a covered call or cash secured put long-term or short-term capital gains? You know the answer to that one, Dom?
Yeah, so it really depends. So when you sell it to open with those there, that's going to be when you initiate the trade. So it would only become a taxable event once it expires or close it out. So that period there is going to determine whether it's long-term or short-term. Now, it's likely going to be short-term unless you're dealing with leaps that are 13-month expirations. And in that case, if you let it go the entire expiration period, it should be long-term on those.
Right. And I'll jump in and add a little fodder to that too. On a covered call, you can move the cost or the premium received into your cost basis. Now, we're going to emphasize that you should consult a tax advisor. We don't give tax advice here on the Customer Service Show, but I'll tell you about general stuff that you might want to know. Now, it doesn't necessarily on a covered call position have to affect your cost basis on the stock, but if you choose to address your covered calls that way, They can be, if the call expires worthless, it can be rolled into your cost basis on your stock. Now, once again, wash sale rules apply, and there's other little nuances that could happen overall. It's a little bit more straightforward if you're talking about a cash secured put, mainly because when you're selling a cash secured put, you usually don't own the stock, and it doesn't create a situation where you have an option that is being covered by the fact that you own the underlying stock. Now, there are some pamphlets that are available on the Chicago Board Option Exchange website. If I find it, I'll go on out and look for it, that give you a little bit more of just general information about options and taxes overall. But moral to the story is, most of the time when you're selling a cash secured put or selling a covered call, it would be a short-term capital gain on that particular option contract if it was a shorter term option overall. Or it could be a short-term capital loss too, if it moves against you and you close out that position overall. So keep that in mind too. All right. So let's go back. Let's talk about just a couple of the transfers down. We got two little tabs on the left-hand side that we didn't get to. If you're doing a transfer from another firm, that would be from another brokerage firm, what exactly is the process there?
Yeah, so this from another firm, this is actually referring to our ACAT system. So what that is basically what the name implies, an account transfer. So this is going to allow you to transfer in kind from a different account. So let's say you had some stocks at Fidelity and you want to move them over to Ally Invest. Well, you can use this option here. You can select full or partial, and this will allow you to transfer over securities from another brokerage firm. Now, keep in mind with these here, the registrations of the account have to match. So if you have an individual account there, you cannot transfer over to, let's say, like a joint account here. So the registrations would have to match. And also, you may want to contact the sending firm before you initiate this kind of transfer. Most firms actually have a fee. Ally Invest actually has a $50 fee. But if they do, no worries there. We'll actually reimburse up to $150 if you were to transfer over $2,500 or more into your Invest account. We would just require a form and a statement to be completed. And once we have that, we will gladly reimburse up to $150. All right. And then this next one here, the between Ally Invest accounts, this is commonly what we refer to as journal. And what a journal is just like that tab implies, is between Ally Invest accounts. So if you had let's say two self-directed accounts, and you're quite bothered by having that many accounts and you kind of want to consolidate, well, you can actually use this tab here to move cash over. And so this one here is once you select from and to, let's say, you can move the cash over. Now, if you plan on moving securities to consolidate, we actually do require a form. And this one here will not show you. However, if you do go through the process and you say you want to move cash and securities, it will actually prompt you to fill out that form and will give you a hyperlink to download it here. But if you're just moving cash, you can do so online.
All right. So it looks like we have another question in here. I was trying to find that pamphlet that I mentioned about option trading and taxes, but I could not find it in that last minute that I was looking for it. So Benjamin in here says, in an Ally Invest account, do you do margin accounts? Do we have that margin capability?
Yeah, absolutely. So our Ally Invest accounts, now you can only add margin to our self-directed accounts. So we won't allow it in the robo accounts that we offer. But in the self-directed accounts, the margin would act as a feature. So once you have that Ally Invest account, you can apply to have margin added. And then margin will be activated as soon as you have at least $2,000 in the account. That is the regulatory threshold. So once you do meet that threshold, you would then get some buying power to make those leveraged purchases in a margin account.
All right, Dom. So you mentioned robo. Could you give a little bit of definition as to what a robo account is?
Yeah, so the robo accounts are going to be our robo professionally managed accounts. So unlike the self-directed account in which the client would do all the trading themselves, the robo account is an account in which you would open, you would fund it, and then we would handle the rest from there. So we would do all the trading and whatnot for you in ETFs. And you can also find some more information on that from our website. If you click open a new account, you're going to be prompted with two different options. One is, I want to do everything. And then one is, I want you guys to do everything. So you do have that choice online.
All right, Dom, why don't you run to the settings tab? And I'm going to address a couple more things about margin overall and show where that margin feature would be added.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go back to our dashboard.
Okay. And then, well, Dom is trying to pull that up. Looks like you're moving a little faster, actually, Dom. With that said, Benjamin does ask actually, that was the question. Under what tab? So in other words, the question is, I guess in general, how do I add the margin feature? And then the other thing that I wanted to point out with margin, you cannot do that in an IRA account or a retirement account. Those are considered cash accounts. So you cannot leverage your IRA account or a Roth account or in general, most retirement accounts because the government will not allow you to leverage to use those things. Now, you can trade options if you've been approved inside an IRA account, but it's only on positions where you have limited and known risk. So a little bit less speculative option trades and strategies you can do within an IRA account, but you cannot trade on margin. All right, Dom. So I see that you are in the settings tab. I'll pass it back to you and show how you would add a margin feature. We don't know what's going to come up with the test account overall. Well, that one actually shows it's an IRA account.
Let's switch to the individual.
There we go. All right. Now let's go there. Let's check it out. Right. It's always fun to live dangerously and see where we end up at.
Yeah. So once you're on your Ally Invest dashboard, you're going to see this blue cog or gear, if you will. You go ahead and click on that. You want to click on all settings. And here you're going to find some additional site settings, but what we're looking for is all the way down here. All right. So this one here is, you'll see current account. And if it says cash account, it'll give you an option with a button here that will say apply for margin or add margin. This one actually already has it. You wouldn't know that because it is under that 2K threshold. In fact, it's closed. So it's not going to show that additional buying power. But this one here is, you'll see that option to add it at the very bottom of that account settings page. Now, if you are into options trading, you can actually add the options and margin simultaneously. So you can apply, and either one of them, either which one you click will actually add in if you want to add the option or margin simultaneously. So you can also do that as well.
All right. And I heard you say 2K threshold. What's the big deal about 2K and margin accounts?
Yeah, so that 2K threshold is, we talked about FINRA earlier. That is one of the regulatory requirements for margin accounts. So they don't allow you to have any leverage unless you have that 2K in the account, that $2,000.
Right. A little bit like, so you have to have $2,000 at least to be able to trade on margin. And then we also mentioned the same type of thing, just to rehash a little bit what we started talking about, pattern day traders. You have to have 25,000 in order, once you are labeled a pattern day trader, to continue to be a pattern day trader. But you do get more leverage, and you can basically day trade in as many trades as you'd like once you're labeled that overall. But if you're not, you will be restricted until you get your account to meet those minimum levels overall. All right. So Benjamin has another question. I keep getting emails saying that people want to borrow my shares and will pay me to borrow them. I keep the shares and get paid. Any thoughts? Yes. Okay. So emails about borrowing shares. Go ahead, Dom. What program is that within Ally Invest?
Yeah, so that's our, we call it the SIP program. So that's the Securities Income Program. And effectively, what this program allows you to do is, like those emails stated, you can lend out your securities, and then you will get some income in return for that. Now, it's not guaranteed income. This income is going to be determined on the demand, supply and demand of short sellers. So what this is doing here is, let's say you own some stock and there's a short seller across the country that wants to short sell that stock. Well, in order to short sell, they have to borrow that stock. So if you're in this program, we will allow you to lend out your stock to that short seller. The short seller is going to pay a fee called the hard to borrow fee in order to borrow that stock. And then you're going to get a percentage of that fee. So depending on the stocks that you hold, how many you hold, and what that hard to borrow rate is, can determine what that income is going to be. But it's definitely going to fluctuate. So it's not going to be, $15 a month. It would never be that cut and dry. It's more going to be on that supply and demand of the short sellers, as well as that hard to borrow fee, which can also vary per day.
All right, overall. And what's the name of the program?
SIP, so SIP.
Securities
Income Program.
Income Program, right. And sometimes it's called, I'm going to lose the term, because all the brokerage firms, and once again, this is not just within Ally Invest, this is usually across the industry. And some of them might be called a securities lending program. Is that the right term, Dom? Do you recall?
Yeah. And if you had an Ally Invest account last year, you may have noticed the name change. But we actually referred to it as the fully paid securities lending program, which is a mouthful there. So I changed it over to the SIP program.
All right. Right. That is true. Okay. And then Benjamin has a couple more questions, and then we got a few. We got a few more. We're getting to the end of the show here, but we'll answer as many as we can. Benjamin, does it have to be 100 share block? In other words, you have to have 100 shares in order to be a participant in the SIP program?
Nope. So you can have as many shares as you'd like there. And it would just depend on that supply and demand of short sellers there. So it doesn't matter how many shares you have. You need at least one. Now, the more shares you have, the higher the probability of that being lent out is. Having one share being lent out in a short sale likely wouldn't occur. So the more shares you do have, the higher the probability of it would be lent out. But you don't need a non-odd lot to do so.
All right. And then Freebird in the chat box is saying, are you allowed to opt out of the SIP program? It's more so opt in, right, Dom?
Yeah. So it's more of an opt in, in which when you opened your account, there should have been a pop-up screen that would ask you to consent to enroll. So if you didn't consent, you would not be enrolled. And then if you did consent, it's not automatically enrolling you. Like I stated previously, it's more of that supply and demand. So even though you consented to enroll, you may not see any income depending on the securities you hold, et cetera. Now, if you are enrolled, you can see those income payments in your activity page. And if you did want to get out of that program, you just need to give us a call, and we can certainly have you removed from that program.
All right. And with that said, I'm going to stop it basically right there around the SIP questions. I did put in the link to our information page about this program. It'll tell you how you can sign up, how you can enroll or not enroll in the program. So bottom line is, you are not automatically enrolled. If you wanted to participate, you have to check a box saying, I am willing to participate in that program, and you must have a margin account in order to do that overall. All right, so we're getting to the end of the show here. If you have any other questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box right now on the right-hand side of your screen. We still have Dom from our customer service desk with us. We'll try to answer as many as we possibly can. All right, Dom. Well, I have one last question here, and I think we'll make this the last question for the show today. The question comes in and says, can I transfer partial shares created by dividend reinvestment, which I actually see on your screen right now, Can I transfer partial shares created by dividend reinvestment to Ally? And does Ally offer dividend reinvestment?
So the answer to that is yes and no, or no and yes, I should say. So with that, there as if you have dividend reinvestment at another firm and you want to move those securities over, the whole shares will be the only ones that do move. So unfortunately, we're unable to move the fractional shares or partial shares from one firm to another. Generally, they will be liquidated. And the reason for that is generally the partial shares don't actually trade on the exchanges, so they're actually held in-house. So when you go to a different firm, they will liquidate those. Now, luckily, we do have our own dividend reinvestment program, and that will allow you to opt in. And once you do, if you do receive a dividend, it will then buy fractional shares at that price.
All right. And how would I turn it on?
So that walkthrough we gave to find that margin account and options adding, it's actually on that same page of the settings. So at the very bottom, you'll see dividend reinvestment. And if you can read that there, it'll say if you turn on the dividend reinvestment program, we'll automatically reinvest any cash dividends that you earn any additional shares of that stock. So you have to click on there and that will automatically enroll you. Now that's going to be for the entire account. So if it's off here, it's going to be off for the entire account. If it's on, it's going to be on for every stock you hold. Now, one additional thing there is you do have the option if you wanted to add dividend reinvestment to, let's say, 2 stocks out of the 100 that you hold. You actually just have to give us a call and we can actually turn that on for you. But you have the autonomy to do it on your own account for the entire account.
All right. And what if I have multiple accounts? Do I have to click it for each and every account?
Yeah. So you'd have to do it for each and every account that you hold in order to turn it on for the self-directed accounts. Now, the robo accounts, you don't have to worry about that. We'll actually automatically reinvest those dividends for you once the cash reaches a certain threshold.
All right. And then can you highlight that account drop down just to try to show that it's very simple from right there? No, you had it right above the dividend reinvestment. Yeah. So, yeah. So if you have multiple accounts, they'll show up there. You don't necessarily have to go up to the top of your screen and switch your account. You can do it right there. So you click on your IRA account, you click dividend reinvestment, you click on your individual account, you click dividend reinvestment. You can be set up to enroll in dividend reinvestment in all of those different accounts, all from this one settings page inside your Ally Invest platform as soon as you log in overall. All right. Well, that's going to be it for this episode of the Customer Service Show here within Ally. Thanks for joining. Thanks for all the great questions today. You want to click subscribe and ring the bell. Then you'll get all the notifications for everything that we do inside the Ally Invest YouTube channel. And thanks for coming, everyone. And we'll see you next time.
Take care.